Here we go. All right. So welcome, everyone. Welcome to Together We Grow monthly trainings. This is so exciting. This is new. We've never done this before. This is absolutely new. Alice is our first guest. Yay! And you're just going to love her. She is amazing. And so every month, so Together We Grow, let me tell you a little bit about Together We Grow in case you have never attended any of our sessions and you just joined us. You found a flyer and you joined us online and you're like, who are you? What are you doing? My name is Prerna and I'm the founder and CEO of Together We Grow. And Together We Grow provides three services: professional development, which is brain-based, brain science-based, and it's focused for social emotional learning, challenging behaviors, trauma-informed. That's my jam. That's what I want to talk about. That's where I want to contribute, make a difference. And I have a behavior coaching membership. So one of the benefits of joining the membership is you get these sessions for free. So there's quite a lot of you who are part of the membership and they get the entire team to come for free. So you don't have to pay the $7 per person. Your whole team can come for free. And these are going to be offered every month. So Alice is kicking us off in February. We have Sandra Beal coming in March, and she's talking about science and STEAM for young learners. Then we have Sandra Duncan coming in April talking about environments. Then we have Sally Hoy coming talking about play. I mean, you know, Sally is the queen of play and fairy dust is her thing and Wonderland is her thing. So lots of cool things are coming. And once you become a member, if you're curious and you want to learn more about the membership, let me know. I'd be happy to tell you about it. But for right now, I'm going to hand it over to Alice to get this party started.
Hi, everybody. It is so nice to be here from Scotland in the UK. And as I said, it's very wet here today. I am also in the evening, so I'm 5 p.m. in the evening. So I think I'm 6 hours ahead of you, if that's right. So very briefly, a little bit about me. I was a teacher of primary school, so children aged 5 to 12. I then went into lecturing at the university and colleges around Scotland and England. And then for the last 20 years, I've worked with the 4 governments in the United Kingdom. And I travel all over the UK and abroad. I was just saying I'm in Texas tonight, and on Monday morning, first thing, I'm in Australia. Well, Tasmania, in fact. Not in person, obviously, online. So the internet's opened up a whole world to me. Now, I guess one of the reasons I travel all over the world, doing what we do, guys, is that I absolutely love materials. I love materials. I believe that nothing is more important than the child. So we should always start with the child. And so I don't really look at curriculum because we all have different curriculum. But we all have children that we play with. And therefore, we all look at the skills and dispositions that we encourage, that we encourage children to explore the materials or the spaces and places or our relationship. So I guess because we've got an hour and a little bit tonight, I have formed the session around what I like to refer to as the golden threads, or golden threads for learning. Now, I am going to talk about my 6 golden threads, but you might just have 5 or you might have 8. It doesn't mean that I've got one that's missing or 2 that's missing. It's just we've framed them differently. If you look to the past and you look at Friedrich Froebel or Montessori or Steiner or Piaget or Vygotsky, all of those people that we stand on the shoulders of, they will all have had frameworks around their thinking and the way they engage in play. And so I'm going to share mine tonight, which is informed of everybody else's that's come before me, and in fact will be about everybody else's that go ahead of me as well. Now, I have lots of bits and pieces of materials around me, which I'm going to demonstrate and talk about. I will look at the chat, guys, maybe every 15 or 20 minutes. I'll give you time to ask questions throughout. Please just pop the questions up there and hopefully we'll not miss them. And then we'll have time at the end as well. I will warn you now, we will be singing too. I love to sing. I think it's a brilliant way for helping our memories stay with us, and so that we remember important aspects of what we're going to talk about. Yeah, so we're going to talk about the children. We're going to talk about resources and play materials. We're going to talk about spaces and places for play. And we're going to talk a lot, in fact, about every one of you, about Catalina, Caroline, Priscilla, Sandra, Erica, Heidi, all of you that are on here, because you are the biggest resource a child has access to, guys. Now, in Scotland, we tend to speak really quickly, but I'm trying to really enunciate clearly. If you don't understand anything, then put it in the chat and I will repeat it, or I'll try and help you understand what it is I'm trying to say. So I'm going to start, guys, with this. That's my brain. Every baby, toddler, and young child, I have, you have, we all have a brain inside here. And you might call yourself an educator, you might refer to yourself as a teacher. We tend to use terminologies like early years practitioner. I'm not really sure what that is. But what we are architects of the brain. We all know that in the brain there are hundreds of these oh, hang on, something popped up there. Hundreds of these little neural pathways that are all disjointed in the babies and toddlers' brains, and we are trying to help them to connect to each other. So every play experience, every little tiny connection you make helps this get stronger and stronger, so it's all wired beautifully. Now, I'm going to chuck that over there. That's me finished with the brain. I want us to think about that throughout the whole of the session tonight. I guess I have a lot of, and it's interesting that you're going to have Sally and Sandra on, because they've come to spend 2 weeks with me in the UK at the end of April, beginning of May as well. And one of the things I think we kind of talk a lot about, guys, is that child-led play that is shaped and formed and enabled by the child themselves is the most successful play. However, I love play with purpose and I love play with benefits, because if we can capture moments of curiosity or creativity or critical thinking in the play that we offer, then we are going to build a brain connection that will remain with a child for the rest of their wee life. And so, what does that play look like? What does that play look like? Let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. When you read, you begin with A, B, C. When you play, you begin with me, me, me. Well, not me, the children you play with. Every single child is there. I was in nursery in kindergarten on Thursday and Friday last week, and I can remember watching little children, 2 and 3 and 4-year-olds, disconnecting from their parents or grandparents outside to come into this huge building and reconnect to another adult. Now that's massive, guys. Massive. And so we have to be ready. I have 2 children of my own, and all I want as a mum is for my children to feel loved and for them to be happy. Yeah, I don't care about anything else, because I honestly believe that if they're happy and feel loved, then everything else is going to be easier to fall into place. So when you play, you begin with the child. Nothing. No curriculum, no outcome, no statement on a piece of paper is any more important than that child itself. And we need to look at that child and say, what is it you need from me today? How can I demonstrate to you, yes, you, that I love you, I care about you, and I so want to spend time with you. Amy, oh my goodness, I forgot it was Tuesday. Oh, little Amy, oh my goodness. You and I love to paint, Amy, don't we? Oh, Brody's coming in the door now. Brody and I love to sort and match. I might see you over at the block. We could do some sort of matching. And so you'd really encourage that child to realise, I notice you, I see you, and I want to spend time with you today. So the child is at the heart of everything that we do, everything we write about, all my blogs, all my posts on social media, on all of our adventures with Alice. We are all about the child. Now I'm going to introduce you to two of my friends here, guys. This here, he is called Nonsense. Yes, he is. He's little Nonsense. And this little guy here, he's called Mischief. And they are made out of my husband's socks. So they're just little monsters, little sock monsters. There they are. But they're Nonsense and Mischief because our children's job, because they're 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years old, is to be up to nonsense and mischief. Yes, or no? And oh my goodness me, if your children are not full of nonsense and mischief, then they're bored. And then you'll have to call Prerna because their behaviour will not be what we are looking for in our play. And, a lot of the time, and, I don't know if anybody else finds it, that children, some of our children, unfortunately, come into our spaces and places for 40 hours a week. They're there longer than they're at home or at their grandparents' house. And they've been coming since they were 6 months old, and they're now 4 years old, and they're coming every day. And oh my goodness me, the sand is just the same every single day, and they're bored. Oh my goodness, they're so bored. And I think if we have fabulous play, we have nonsense and we have mischief. Yes, we do. So these are my lists. I hope you've got a nonsense and mischief. And we hide them around the playrooms. The bury in the sand, and then they've just had their little dealy boppers popping out the sand, and they're found, and the children love them. And they get up to nonsense and mischief with nonsense and mischief. And so what are your catalysts that call a child's curiosity?
I just love it. I just love it. I just love
Oh,
nonsense and mischief. You are like, I love your accent. I'm just enjoying it so much. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. You are amazing. You're amazing.
Is my accent all right, people? If it's not, then put it in that chat and I will try and be slower or clearer.
Yeah, can you let Alice know in the chat? Can you
Yeah.
understand? I'm loving it so much that I'm laughing my head off over here.
Okay, so back to this brain then, guys. Back to this brain. Oh, thank you, Patricia. That's fine, as long as you can understand me. The brain, there are 5 doors into the brain. If we want a child to be captured, if we want to tune them in to possibilities, then we need to think about the 5 senses. Because the 5 senses, the external senses, so we have internal senses, our bodies, everybody's body tells us we're hungry, we're thirsty, we're in pain, and also about our balance. So there's 4 internal senses, but there are 5 senses that feed into our children's brains and thinking. And that is see, hear, touch, taste, and smell. So when we are playing, we need to open up those little doors to thinking. So you need to capture my curiosity. That's one of my golden threads, guys. My first golden thread. Here it is. My first golden thread is all about curiosity. How do we capture the curiosity of our children through the play experiences that we expose them to? I have a little suitcase. Yes, I do. Here it is. It's a tiny little suitcase. If I open it, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, do you want to see what's in here? Oh, I can't show you what's in here. Oh my goodness. You'll never believe it. Suitcase. It's a tiny little teddy bird. You'll see her. And her favorite thing to do in the world is to paint. Or another little brush. Or another little brush. Or another little brush. He paints with tiny little suitcases. Now, can you see them? It's for doing my eye makeup. But oh my goodness me, guys. If we give these tiny little implements for painting. The children are so light to touch instead of giving them one of these big, huge paintbrushes. And they're curious because my tin is so full of them. Look, there's hundreds of them in there. So we can sort them, we can match them, we can count them. And little Esmeralda here, she can pick one of the brushes that she wants to do a painting with. So we often pop little curiosities into little containers to capture a child's attention. Now, it might be that I lead it. I might sit down and I might just have it in my hand and be chatting to the children as they come in, as I am doing to you just now. Or they might just be sitting on the shelf. And we've got a row of 6 little suitcases that the children will not know what's inside. And so they're curious to find out. So they immediately want to investigate. We have a saying at Alice Sharp that we talk about the CID method of engagement. Now, we call her, you've got the FBI, we have the CID. So our CID in the police here stands for the Criminal Investigation Department, but that's not what I'm talking about. So CID for me means if I am curious, I will investigate. If I investigate, I make discoveries. Curiosity, investigation, and discovery. If I make discoveries, I am thinking. So you need to capture my curiosity. So for instance, guys, in this tower, in this little tower, which is full of, I'm not going to show you what's in it, but there's 6 little tubs in this tower, and it is full of a story that are my children when they open it, but I'm going to show you inside it later. But if I just put all of the items that are in here on a tray, it's not as exciting as my story tower. I wonder what's in the story tower today. How can we capture the story and encourage children to know the story together? You know, and so how are you capturing that first golden thread? If you think about humans are born to be curious. All of the science tells us that. If you look at the work of one of your own dear people, Dr. Bruce Perry, Dr. Bruce Perry has a lovely curiosity table that he encourages us to think about. You know, where does curiosity go to? And he's got, I think, 8 different steps on that curiosity journey. I've simplified mine to 3: curiosity, investigation, and discovery. Because I know that if I put little bits and pieces out, I can remember, guys, at the sand. Now, we love sand play. We love water play. We love mud play. But at the sand one day, I had noticed that all that seemed to be happening at the sand was the children were pushing and shoving. They were bored. They were switching off. They weren't committing. They weren't paying attention. And so I let Monday happen, I let Tuesday happen, and then I said to the rest of the team, can I do something different in the sand today? And they said, yeah, of course. So what I did was I took half the sand out of the tray and I emptied 2 tins of, we call it treacle, black treacle, so black syrup, molasses, black sugar. So liquid sugar into the sand, and then I put the sand back on top. So to my eyes and the children's eyes, it looked just like sand. And as they came in, little Derek came in and he looked at the sand and he looked at me and he said, will I get you a bucket and spade? I said, I'm just having a think. And off he went. Amy came in. Oh, will I get you the shells, Alice? I said, no, I'm fine. I'm just having a think. Little David came in and he stood like this at the sand. He said, what are you doing? I said, I was just a bit bored by the sand and I wondered what we could do with the sand. And then I started to play around with my fingers in the sand and I was chatting to him. And then I did this. Oh! And he went, what? I said, oh my goodness me. And he stood back and he said, what is it? But when I did this, I had black liquid sugar hanging off my fingers. And he went, horrible. And 2 or 3 children came running over to see what was horrible. And at the sand that day, for the rest of the day, we played with black treacle in the sand. Now, the language was better, the scientific thinking was better, the problem solving was better, the mathematics we did, everything about the experience was richer and deeper. And so we need to be really aware of what children are being curious about. So stand in your home corner and say, what is there here for children to be curious about? Do you have a shan? Go on.
Can I get a clarification? Did you put black treacle in the sand? Like, is that what you did? You just took a jar of black treacle and you just poured it in the sand.
And then I covered it with sand so you couldn't see it. It was hiding.
Sure.
But when we put our hands in it, it was all, woo.
I love it.
It was. Now, there's a lot of people will have a problem with that because of poverty and food poverty and children. It's a waste of money because it's food play, but we measured it up, and that day, 200, 300 children over the week played with that treacle in the sand. So for us, the £3 use of this was fine, but I know that some people don't like using it. It didn't have to be treacle. It could have been some lumps of clay. It could have been sawdust. It could have been anything, just something a bit different.
I agree. I think curiosity is worth it to go to the Dollar Tree or Walmart. Just, it's worth it for curiosity. There is a question from Michelle, and I don't know if you want to do it now or later. What personal work have you done to get back to the playfulness of childhood? I feel like mine has fallen asleep.
Well, that's interesting. Personally, I am curious about everything. I'm curious about the world. I'm curious about everything that I want to know. And so the reality is that as adults, if we're not curious, we're not likely to look for it in our children. So last year, for instance, I went into the woods and I carved some spoons in the woods with I went on a wood whittling course. I also last year went and sang with a band. So there was one of my favourite bands. We're doing a music retreat, and I spent a week singing with them. They then went and sang at Glastonbury at a festival, and I went back and sang in nursery. But I was excited to do that. I was curious about how I use my voice. I was curious about how to whittle the wood. So if I honestly think that at 58 years old, I am curious about everything. I love it when a child tells me the name of a dinosaur and I'm not quite sure I've heard that dinosaur name before, and then I go and look it up. Like, I'm writing something just now about ball play, about using balls and what it is, why it's so important that we encourage children to really explore blocks, really, really basic blocks, and then really just all the balls, and peel all of the visual noise away and get back to the real, a ball can bounce the high as the sky, or a ball can be squished into my hand, and then when I open it up, it all expands. And to be curious about that. So as an adult, I need to be curious. Yeah? I hope that's what you meant, Michelle. Yeah? So personal work is on me, but I also then come back. So my spoon, for instance, that I carved. So I have a bag. Here is a bag. And this is a bag, and it's made of old bits of waistcoat as well. So, it's not sewn very well, but it's made of old bits of waistcoat. But in my bag of spoons, and I'll just show you some of them. This is the one I made. So I carved it in the woods, and I decided I wanted a long bowl because I wanted 2 or 3 little things on it. But I've added it to this bag. Now look at this spoon. It's a wooden spoon, but this is another wooden spoon, but it's very different to mine. And then I have this little wooden spoon, which has got a fish tail on it. And then I have this. Have you ever seen this type of wooden spoon? This is from Wales in the UK, and it's called a loving spoon. There is not one join in that wood. It is carved from one piece of wood, even these little balls in here. And so our children love this. And then this one's from Benin in Africa. My daughter brought it back when she worked in an orphanage over there. Look at this spoon. It's square. Oh my goodness. And then this one is made of horn. And this one is my grandma's, and it's 100 years old. And so there's, I can't tell you how many spoons. Look at this tiny one with the jade handle. And we can do bigger than, smaller than. We can do deep bowl. We can do shallow bowl. We can do this silver one. This one, guys. we have lots of refugees from Ukraine just now here, and this is made out of bomb the shells of bullets. It is made of the shells, so make something positive out of something negative. We bowls and spoons made of those. And then, look at this spoon. Are you ready for this one? It's an extra spoon. And then little Amy, came up to me with this ladle, which is kind of a spoon. And she was sitting and she said, Alice, this is the Queen's spoon. And I said, is it? How do you know that? And she said, because it's shiny. I said, oh, does she like shiny things? She said, really, really likes golden shiny things. And then she said, Alice, I'm upside down. I said, she said, I'm looking and I'm upside down. I said, no, you're not. You can't be upside down because I'm not upside down. She said, yes, I am upside down. I said, no, you're not. And I turned it and I did this. And she said, oh my goodness, I'm upside down anymore. I said, no, but I'm. Because
That's so cool.
We've got the
so
concave
cool.
and we've got the, and so from me being excited and curious about spoons, I suddenly realised, and then you can make spoons out of anything. So we've got some sand and some, these are just, I can't remember what you call that now. Anyway, we've got hundreds of these with little things caught in them. That one's sand. This one here is a rose petal. And we've made them with stuff you pour. I can't remember the name of it. So curiosity, guys. How are you capturing the curiosity? You know, one day I'll have this set of spoons out in the sand. The next day it'll be in the home corner. 2 days later they'll find it out in a maths area. 3 days later they'll find it out with the stories, because Goldilocks and Three Bears, or the little Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, you know, all of these stories that we tell children are amazing. I've got one from Kuala Lumpur. This one's from Japan. That one's from Benin. So we can start to look at the geography. This one is from Benin because it's got a jade handle. I bought it when I was in Benin in China. Not Benin, sorry, Beijing. And so you've got this whole exposure then to children's critical thinking about a bag of spoons. Just spoons. That's all you need.
So fun. What was the name of the one that didn't have any joints from Wales? It was called
It's called a Welsh loving spoon, because love has no end.
Oh, love it.
And so we would often get these on our wedding days, or your 21st birthday, etc. in Wales. And they come in all shapes and sizes, but the big thing is it is out of one piece of wood and there's no join. So I guess, guys, if our children are excited, excuse me while I just pack those spoons in the air, I'm not going to be able to show you anything else. If we think about capturing the curiosity of our children, and think about your children. So again, let's do a lovely American thinker and theorist, Howard Gardner's thinking around multiple intelligences. Now, he started in the 70s thinking about that, and he had 5 intelligences that he identified. Then he had 6, and then he had 7, and then he had 8, and now he's working on his 9th. 35 years later, he's still expanding his theory, because a theory is something that is not yet proven. So he's still thinking about it. And so we should be thinking about everything every day. So it might be that when I come and meet you all in Texas next year, really in Texas, I might decide that I don't have 6 golden threads, but I've got 12 golden threads, because I might have expanded my thinking. Or I might have decided that they all fit within 4. Who knows? So Howard Gardner's theory on intelligences, he identified lots of different types of ways that we take on board knowledge. He talked about mathematical people. He talked about linguistically driven people. The suggestion being that we're all born with a predominant way of taking on board information. So you might be a visual spatial child. So you're an architect, an engineer. You know, those little children that build their tower, but they then pull a chair up and they climb on the chair to get the next brick up. They're visual spatial. Or you might find the child who's intrapersonal, who wants to just go over there and build the tower on their own and doesn't want to be with anybody. Or interpersonal, according to Gardner's theory, that they are, come on, let's all do the block play, let's all do the block play. They don't want to do it on their own. They want to gather all their friends, and they want to do it in a social bundle, you know. And so curiosity needs to be captured. And the way to capture it, guys, is through connection. My second golden thread, here it is. Connection. Connection is really important. Connection to each other, to the adults that are caring for us, but to my little peer group, but also connecting to the resources and to the environments you expose me to. But I am not going to be connected to the environment if I am bored by the environment. If I go to the farmyard, the beautiful wooden farmyard that's over there, and all the farm animals have gone because some other child has taken them somewhere, or we've lost them and we've not replaced them, but we keep putting the farmyard out. You know, we've all been in these kindergartens or schools, guys, where somehow things go missing and we don't replace them. And so I'm going to encourage you to really think about how you connect to your children. How do you demonstrate to children that you love them, you care about them, and you want to spend time with them? Now, you all know, and I know fine, that we want to build, and again, Bruce Perry or Alton Gopnik's work would help us expand on this thinking, because I'm just planting a seed tonight, on the 6 core strengths of our children. We need our children to feel a sense of attachment. Then, and only after they are attached, will they feel as if they can regulate themselves. So Bruce Perry is very keen for us to think of this as a sequence. That attachment, and then comes self-regulation, then comes affiliation and attunement, and then will come tolerance and respect. And so those 6 core strengths that we want to develop in our children will happen through the relationships we have with humans, with the resources, and with the places and spaces. I'm going to do...
I'm sorry, Alice. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Would you mind repeating the core strengths again? I got attachment, yes, self-regulation, tolerance, respect.
Right, okay, so it happens in a sequence though. So a child will begin to feel attached, and when they have a strong sense of attachment, only then will they be able to self-regulate. After they self-regulate and they can cope with their feelings and their emotions, and you know, and can kind of understand, well, I'm feeling this, they will then start to attune to other people, especially in our classrooms, because I'm sorry, but 2-year-olds should really be in small groups, not in a room with 20 other 2-year-olds. But the reality is that's the way we have to do it, so we have to ensure we develop their strength. And so they need to attune, they need to know, okay, it's fine, I'm here and you're there, but there's space for us all, and that's that. And I know and can understand that. And affiliation is when I feel as if I belong here. That I've got, although there's lots of us, there's this, oh, there's my photo on the wall, or there's a little place where I hang my coat up, or there's my lady, she's just over there, she's talking to 2 other children, but she's there and I can see her. So I can start to affiliate and feel a part of the group. And only if I do attune myself to the group and affiliate to the group, will I be able to tolerate that there's difference here, you know, and actually, they're different to me and I'm different, and he likes painting. I hate painting because it's all messy, but I love block play and there's room for us all. Or she's got red hair and I've got glasses, but you know, so tolerance is that, okay, I can accept there's difference. And then respect is when we start to understand and appreciate the difference. And so that has to build up in our children. And that all happens through our second golden thread of connection. And one of the ways we do it, Trina, is to sing little rhymes and share little intimate moments with our children. And so I've got here one of my bonding bags. And in our bonding bags, they hang up at the door, or they sit in a basket, we send them home. It's basically a little poem and little ideas on the back, but then we've got our little visual aids. So here is my caterpillar, here he is. And this one goes like this. There's a tiny caterpillar on my hand. There's a tiny caterpillar on my arm. There's a tiny caterpillar, a tiny caterpillar, a tiny caterpillar on my nose, chomp, chomper, on my shoulders, chomp, chomp. So there's loads of little verses, or we've got this one. Eyes, nose, cheeky, cheeky chin, cheeky, cheeky chin, nose, eyes. Eyes, nose, cheeky, cheeky chin, cheeky, cheeky chin, nose, eyes. And so we sing these little rhymes. The children ask us to do it. Even if they can't verbalize, they'll pick this up and bring it to us. And we have a moment in this big, noisy space that we often share. So
they would like the lyrics to the songs. They would like the lyrics to the songs.
The lyrics to I'm sorry, I can't give you the lyrics, but you can go onto my social media and find them. We
And you
sell
will put
all
it
of
in the
this,
chat.
so I don't normally give it away for free, guys, because that's how we make our salaries, if you like. So those little bonding bags we sell as a set, but you will find me singing on my Adventures with Alice Facebook or Instagram, and you'll hear me singing all of those songs, so you'll be able to write them down as you capture them. But you have hundreds of songs you sing. You don't need my songs. What you need to think about is how you use them. You know, like round and round the garden, or round about, runs a wee mouse. Up a step in his little house. You know, there's hundreds of them, guys. You have them as well as we do. Another way we connect is go to IKEA or other stores, and you get a shoe caddy. So you get a plastic see-through thing that you put your 6 pairs of shoes in. But what we do is we put out the plan for the day. So I'll put in a lump of Play-Doh. I'll put in my book. This is the book we're going to read today, so that'll be in one of the pockets. Then I'll put in nonsense and mischief. And then I might have some gems and jewels and pirate treasure, because we're doing that in loose parts. So that as the child comes in, they can see visually the story of all the things they're going to, and they connect immediately and think, "What? I'm glad I came," because they're excited. Because immediately they feel connected, because they recognise that story, and they love the glowworm storybook, and they love pirate treasure, and oh my goodness, they love to do Play-Doh. And so our connector, our circle of friendship, or our shoe caddy, is telling children we care about them. Yeah. I'm going to stop for a minute, guys. I'm really aware as if I'm just throwing things at you. And let you have a think about, what are your golden threads? What do you think, if I was to come to visit you in Texas, or wherever you are? I didn't see anybody else. Canada, I've got lots of people are doing our online program in Canada, actually. I think there's about 120 schools in Canada doing our program. We all have what we feel is important. And I know that every time I go into a school, I need to encourage curiosity. So I'll take something in under my arm. I might walk in with this little bag, and the children wonder what's in it. Or I'll take in this little box of boxes, and they'll wonder what's hidden in here. And I just try and capture stuff by curiosity and connection. So that's my first 2, and I'm going to tell you my other 4 in a minute. But just, I'm going to stop talking for a minute and let you have a think about what your golden threads are. Off you go, have a wee think about it. Put it in the chat. Thank you, Patina, for putting my adventures in.
Absolutely. I'll put your Instagram one as well. While they're thinking about what's their golden thread, one of mine that I use for behaviors all the time is my standalone sentence: the more you connect, the less you correct.
Yeah, that's
all
brilliant.
about
I
those
love
connections. Yeah, it's all about those connections. If we can connect with the children, we won't need to correct them so much.
Brilliant.
So I love that's your golden thread. Curiosity and connections is. Can't wait to hear the rest. I'm so curious.
Yeah,
The rest. Put it in the chat, guys. What are your golden threads, or even one? Just put one if you can't think of more than one right now. What's your golden thread as your principle or your program or guiding principle for you or your program? Either one. We'll allow for a couple of minutes to share, and then we'll carry on.
I love that somebody said they loved my spoons. I think there's 20 in that bag. I have over 300 spoons now. Because I've got a bit mad about spoons.
Yes, more is caught than is taught. That's one of mine too, Laura. We are like-minded people, my friend.
Indeed. Yep. In fact, one of my friends, one of the more is caught than taught. I love that. That's fab. That's really nice, Laura. Presence and fluidity, not letting the schedule dictate. Oh my goodness, please. Responsiveness. Yeah, definitely. Brilliant. Patricia, you're starting a new school in Monday with new children. How exciting for you. That's amazing. Okay, so you were asking about the little songs, guys. I'll let you. So this is my little basket, and here I've got 3 little ducks that live in my basket. Okay. So I'm going to get you to make yourself a song up tonight when you're lying in bed. I have one little, two little, three little ducklings, one little, two little, three little ducklings, one little, two little, three little ducklings sitting in a row, or sitting in a circle, or jumping on my shoulders, or lying down to sleep. It could be one little, two little, three little snowflakes, one little, two little, three little snowflakes, one little, two little, three little snowflakes fluttering from the sky. Or one little, two little, three little pumpkins, one little, two little, three little pumpkins, one little, two little, three little pumpkins in the pumpkin patch. It can be anything. So, all these we have tons of little threes that our children, if they can't be bothered with the noise, or they don't want to listen to the story, or they're fed up going outside in the heat or the sun or the rain, and they come and they pick up one of our little bonding bags with our three little somethings, and they'll come to one of the adults and they'll just say, "Can I have a minute here?" And sit down with us. And so, oh my goodness me, think about how you encourage those six core strengths through connection, guys. My third golden thread, this one, my third one is, if a child is curious and they connect, how do they connect? They connect through communication. So my third golden thread is communication. Communication, oh my goodness. Now, it doesn't need to be verbal. It can be like, or, it can be non-verbal, it can be gestural, it can be all sorts of things, because we know communication is much more than just words. But we need children to want to communicate. And so my third golden thread is all about communication, guys. But I could literally speak to you for 3 weeks without stopping about communication. So I will try my hardest to sum it up. So all of the science tells us that in order to communicate, we need to, first of all, be physically capable of talking. So we need to think about our lips, our tongue, and all of our muscles and how they are being used. Now, in Glasgow, where I come from in Scotland, we tend to just mumble and we don't really move our lips, and we talk through here, with a kind of squeaky sound. And that makes it really challenging for children to hear the sounds of their own language. And so globally, guys, I'm just back from Romania. I'm just about to go to China. I'm going to Malta. I'm going to Mallorca. I'm going all over the place. Just back from Canada last year as well. And the reality is we're all worrying about children's communication and language skills. It's not just here in the UK or with you in the USA, but, you'll read in the news and things, I guess, about the 300 million word gap and things. But it's more than just words. It's more than the vocabulary. It is about the way we engage in conversations, and so our children need to be physically capable, and then their brain is pre-wired to take on board language in a sequence. The first thing we become in charge of is our sound. I don't mean phonetics, I mean our gutter sound. So I sound very different to English people. So, my friend Mary is English and she says different words to me, but she says the duvet cover. Now, I call it a duvet. She says dew. So I say a lot. Mary cannot make that sound. Loch Lamont. We roll our R's in Scotland, the English don't. And so even just, a couple of miles apart, we sound different. And I sound very different to Americans and Canadians. And so we need our children to be making all these sounds. And one of the best ways of getting them to do that, guys, is through animal sounds. So I'm going to do it, because we're not in the room together, excuse me battering on with this, but if you look at let's think about farm animals, okay? And I'm going to make some farm animal noises. And I want you to then do it, but I want you to feel it in your face, if that makes sense, okay? So I'm going to do... So can you do that for me and feel what you're using in your face? And now we're going to do this. Woo! Woo! Really different shape in my face just now. And then I'm going to do We've got loads of barn owls on our farm. Then I am going to do ah ah I'm a donkey. Every animal makes a different sound. And then if you think about dinosaurs, which is every child's favourite noise, you know, is my pterodactyl, ooh, is my diplodocus. All of those stories, songs, small world play, all of that, guys, needs us to overemphasize it too. The cow doesn't just go moo. The cow goes woo because I need to be able to do it. Yes, so when we've got all those sounds in our voice box ready to come out, our brain is ready after that to take on board nouns, names of objects, then come verbs, doing words, then come adjectives, describing words. You know, so I'll tell you about my little friend Katerina. My little friend Katerina lives in Berlin, in Germany, and her dad is Bulgarian, and her mum is Serbian, and my daughter, who's part of her family now, speaks English. So Katerina, from the minute she could speak, spoke in 4 languages. Every day, 4 languages, yeah? Now, her dad, Ivo, in fact, is learning Spanish because of his work, and Kat goes to Spanish with her dad, and she's better at it than her dad because we know her brain is more pliable than Ivo's. And so Katerina, and we share a birthday. And in fact, my daughter sent me a little video of Kat when her dad said in Bulgarian to her, do you want to sing happy birthday in Bulgarian? She said no. And then Serbian, no. German, no. Her grandma said German. She said, no, English, because she wanted to send me the video and knew that I could understand it in English. So they all sang it in English. Now, there's this little 4-year-old sitting in Berlin in Germany, speaking those languages fluently, and I struggle to speak English properly. And I also have in lots of my schools children who don't have 50, 100, 200, 300 words in their own mother tongue. That's about exposure, girls, boys, everybody. Children will only learn to use language, to understand language, to have language in their vocabulary if we expose them to it and it's memorable. So if you think about the way you have a conversation, the way you read a book, guys, how memorable do you make it? Yeah? So I'm going to show you this little book here. We Are the Glowworms, written by my own fair hand. And it was a song we used to sing all the time. And it goes like this. We are the glowworms, quiet and shy, wriggle around in the pale moonlight. Hello, hello, watch our little tails glow, creeping and crawling, slithering and sliding, squirming and wriggling, we glow, we glow. Now, if I just sat and sang that with the children and went, we are the glowworms, quiet and shy, wriggle around in the pale moonlight, hello, hello, it wouldn't be as exciting as what we are going to do. So everybody sit up straight. When I sang with the band last year, they told me, sit up straight, get your diaphragm open, so you can take all that. Yeah, now here's the thing, guys. When you're playing with the blocks or the spoons or the sand or telling a story, if you want to make it memorable, if you want a memory to be created from your interaction and engagement, you need to think about your whole communication. Communication is not words. It's not words. Words start up here for a start. They don't come out your mouth. They don't pop out of there before they're up here. So we have to feed them into the brain, into the brain, into the brain. Exposure, 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 exposure. Then they can come out my mouth. But I will only remember them if you share them with your whole body and your voice says something spectacular. Like I used to read Giles Andrews' book, Commotion in the Ocean, to my son Ben when he was 4. And there's a little bit about the angelfish in it. And this is the way I read that story to Ben. Hello, I'm the angelfish, darling, the prettiest thing in the sea. I know that I know other creatures as gorgeous lovely as me. And he would say, again, Mum, again, again. If his dad read it, wasn't interested. And the reality was, because of the effort and energy we put into communicating, he loved Jim reading other stories. So, you know, when we sing a song or we read a story, you know, or the children are looking at beautiful illustrations in your books, think about it. So sit up straight, smile, because it sounds better, and we're going to sing. We are the glowers, quiet and shy, wriggle around in the pale moonlight. Hello, hello, watch our little tails glow. Creeping and crawling, slithering and sliding, squirming and wriggling, we glow, we glow. The more physical you are in your interactions, guys, the stronger a memory you will create. So if you want your children to become communicators, if you want them to have lots of vocabulary, you know, instead of saying small, so in my little bag here, I have got symbols. I've got hundreds of symbols that I'm going to show you. I've got this tiny little symbol. So a normal symbol would be that size, and that's my tiny little one. But there's about 40 words for tiny. In Hawaii, now I might be quite, I didn't look this up before I came, but I'm sure there's something like 124 words in Hawaii for water, wave. You know, it's the same in Scotland. We've got hundreds of words for the word rain. You know, and it's the same with tiny. It's minuscule. It's minute. It's in one island in Scotland we call it peerie. In another island in Scotland we call it peedy. But I now have children in Japan saying peedy and peedy when they bring out small things. Because why would we not introduce them to more vocabulary? You know, so how many words do you expose children to that are meaningful and impactful so that they can develop the vocabulary? Oh my goodness me, guys. We need to think about that. Thank you, Britt, for the cute song. I wrote it myself. and that's the first one. And the second one's coming out this week, actually, down in the forest with the glowworm bop.
I love it, love it, love it, love it. You are absolutely just golden. This is just so fun, so fun. Oh my God, I could spend all day with you.
So, was there any other questions? We missed anything?
No, not yet.
No, I've been trying to kind of keep my eye on it, guys, but when I get carried away, I forget to look. But hopefully, if there's any questions, we'll catch them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
put them in.
Communication. You have to give me a reason to want to talk. You know, when I've got all my vocabulary and you know, I'm going to have a chat about it. And so, for instance, guys, here is my song box. Okay, now this is a box I use with my babies and the bouncy chairs, and I'll do. Here is a box. Let's open the lid. I wonder whoever inside is him. It is without a doubt, we've opened our lid and now he's out. Humpty Dumpty sat in the wall. Or it's Incy Wincy Spider. There he is. Or it's Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. But we might do a rap to Twinkle 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 Little Star. How I wonder what you are up above the world so high. We do all sorts. So there's hundreds of different little Peter hammers with one hammer, one hammer. What else have we got? Rockabye Baby. We've got hundreds of songs. But what this is doing is teaching another part of communication. Because my babies know this lid. I've got 7 boxes the same shape with the different lids. So they're reading. This is reading. They're reading this and they know what's going to happen. We're going to sing or rhyme. When he comes out, they know exactly what song we're going to sing because it's a very different song to when we bring Miss Polly's Dolly out. Yeah? And so they're reading this symbol. That's what black squiggly stuff is on white paper, but it doesn't start like that. It starts like this. That's why our connectors, our communicators are violently important, guys. And then we have give me a reason to have a conversation. So in my bag, I've got balls, hundreds of balls. I've got a pink ball, which is a bit squishy. I've got a green spiky ball, and actually it flashes. I have got this blue squidgy ball. I got squishy. Bad is this? It's metal and it's all lumpy. It's freezing to touch. This one's from Japan and it weighs nothing compared to this really heavy one. Oh my goodness me, look at that one. It's all bobbly. And this one's all spiky. And oh my goodness, there's about 20 odd balls that make all sorts of noises and do all sorts of weird, crazy things. And we can match them, sort them, we can sequence them, but we can bounce, we can throw, we can catch, we can squeeze, we can stretch, we can verb them. So you ball, 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 ball. So I've got a vocabulary word. Now I'm going to verb them. I'm going to do, and then it's spiky, it's squishy, it's hard, it's heavy. I can adjective it. So from this bag of 20 balls, there is 400 words I can use in that bag of balls. The potential is there, guys, for the environments to sing and give our children glorious opportunities to become the best communicators, to become the next Obama. What an orator he was. And the reality is we need to make that happen. So it's about us exposing them. And then we can worry about this stuff at the end when they're ready for it. So I've got a beehive. And if I open my beehive, inside here I've got a block. And I have got buttons, and I've got a bear, and I've got a bigger block, and I've got a bird, and I've got a badger. And so they all begin with B. So I'm starting to think about initial sounds and blending, and I can make a story up with all the stuff in my beehive. Or my monster bag, I've got melon and mango, and I've got a packet of Maltesers and a Mars bar. I've got all sorts of things beginning with in my monster bag, and in my crown, I've got lots of things beginning with K. And so we can start to build stories and give me a reason to communicate. So after my communication comes my next golden thread, which is creativity. And I'm going to do the two of them together, actually. Creativity and critical thinking, because they're both types of thinking. And so if I am curious and I feel connected and I want to communicate, what do I want to communicate? I want to communicate my thoughts, my imaginings, my ideas, and my dreams and hopes and aspirations. And so that's all to do with creative and critical thinking. Now, I know there's more than those kinds of thinking, but they're the two that we desperately want children to be deeply and richly engaged in, guys. Because we need them to think about how they're going to be creative and what it is that they're going to do with the story tower. So here is my story tower. Now, you're supposed to, we got it in the dollar store, and you're supposed to put your lunch in it, your yogurt and your whatever's in there, but I'm not going to do that. In the top one, I have got all of these stars. Get hundreds of stars, 3 different kinds of stars, 3 different sizes. And in this one, this one here, that's soap, grated soap, guys. So when you put it in the water, it can, and then in the next little one, I've got 2 pirate finger puppets. So in the water, with the pirate ship and the pirate treasure, and in the next one, the pirate gold, and we've got gold coins, and we've got lumps of gold. So we've got hundreds of them. And then I've started to put them in all of these little boxes. So what we've given the children is opportunity to sort into, put the gold, put the stars into there, and do counting and sorting and matching and all sorts of stuff. So what we've done by putting the story tower together like this is we have positively manipulated the way they will think. So, which is fine, because I'm an educator. I am hoping that a wee purpose and benefit from playing in my environments is that they learn stuff. Not all the time, but oh my goodness, wouldn't that be fab if they did? Because then they would be running the country, and the country would not be in the state that it's in just now, because they would be so much bloody more switched on. And so in my story tower, as the children play, They think creatively about what they're going to do with it, where they're going to do it, who they might do it with, how they're going to use the items, and what stories they're going to make. And every child has a different outcome from that story tower.
Okay,
Or,
so
go on.
so could you explain a little bit more with the story cover? Is there one in the classroom? Kids get to take all of the pieces, or do different
We
kids
would maybe have 6 of them out at a time, so there'd be 6 different collections of objects, and the children just use them the way they want to use them. So they might take it outside and do it outside. They can take just 2 of them off and leave the other ones as they want to. It might be that it's story tours this week, but next week it's our loose part play. So they have to discover what's in the towers this week or today. You know, it might change tomorrow and it might not last for a week. But it's encouraging them to communicate their thinking. And that's the thing, you know. So I mean, we do stories in lots of different ways, but that's one way. And this little little bag, which, and here's the thing, guys, I love a charity shop and I love a pound store. I love really good resources as well. So that's from Barcelona, that thimble. So they're all thimbles. That's from Barcelona as well. This one's from India. And there's holes in this one. So if I put that in the water, all of the water cascades out of it. If I put these in the water, there's holes in that one, but there's not in that one. So I make a discovery about that. But if I make sand castles, can you imagine the sand castles I'm going to make with these? Or the mud. And the mud gets stuck. And then I've got this head of a man. I've got a Buddha. Do you see him? I've got a Stetson. Oh my gosh, I need to get my Stetson out because I'm in Texas. Look, a Stetson. Yeah. I've got ones made of porcelain. I've got ones made of plastic. I've got ones made of metal, and some of them are made of wood. Yeah. And so there's hundreds of them. So again, I'm going to think critically because I can categorize. I can put all the wooden ones, all the metal ones, so I can think science. I can put the tall ones beside each other and the small ones beside each other, so I think math. I can describe them, I think language. So this bag of rubbish, cat, is so powerful, guys, if we expose children to it. And if you think about the house corner, now here's the thing. The majority of children I work with are abject poverty, or children, the poorest children that you would ever care to meet. And I never, and encourage nobody to change the house corner into anything else. So I don't want it to turn into be a rodeo or a safari booking office or a Chinese restaurant, or do that somewhere else by all manner of means, but please leave my home corner as the home, because there is so much potential for learning in the home corner. I was sitting in one of our home corners, and there was 2 little boys brushing shoes with the brushes. There was a little girl at the cooker, and there was a little girl sitting on the floor reading the newspaper, pretending. And Amy, who was at the cooker, said, "Alice, would you like some dinner?" And I said, "I love some dinner." And the table was already set, so she picked up a big glass jar of pasta, of spaghetti, and she brought it over, and she was about to empty the whole spaghetti onto my table. And I said, "Oh, I wonder." So she kind of paused. I said, "I'm thinking, what am I thinking? I'm wondering, is there something we do with pasta before we eat it?" And she's still standing like this, listening to me. I said, "Is there something we do with pasta? What do we do with pasta? What do we do with pasta?" And she said, "You cook." "Do you?" She said, "Yeah, we cook." I said, "Oh my goodness, have you cooked it?" She went, "No, but I do." "It's up to you." So she went and she put it into a pot. She shook the pot around a bit, and then she emptied the whole tin of pasta onto my plate out of the pot. The same outcome, but it was that little moment, guys, that teaching moment that we have to capture if our golden threads are going to make impact. So here I'm going to ask you to think about your mud area. I don't know if you all do mud kitchens, but we love mud kitchens. So messy play, it could be malleable, it could be Play-Doh, it could be goop, it could be mud, it could be sawdust, whatever you use to get messy. And I love the tools for play that I use in the mud kitchen. And I am a bit obsessive. I'm a Vygotskian. I love language because I think it's God. Because if you give me language, I can talk about math, I can talk about science, I can talk about I can talk about anything. And so for me, feed me. experiences that give me the language of learning and give me the language of life. And so I have in my mud kitchen toolkit, if you like, I have got a melon baller, so tiny little melon balls, and I've got an ice cream scoop, so I can make little mounds of mud and I can make bigger ones. I've got a garlic press, and I've got a potato ricer, and so I can have tiny thin worms or big juicy worms. I've got a tannis, and I have a chinois. Now, they're actually both sieves. So this is a sieve that you might be seeing. This is a chinois. So look at the difference, yeah? So smaller holes and deeper and longer. And so when we have the mud in here, guys, I am doing this with my arm. I'm pushing the mud in, and it's all the moisture is seeping out. Listen to those words, moisture seeping out. Yeah, and it's a chinois. And then I have a tannis, which I can't find in the room tonight. A tannis, which is from India, which is normally wooden, but mine is metal. So it's got two frames, and it's got two little grids, and you do that, you're kind of doing that in the mud, and all the crumbly dirt falls out, and you're left with the little stones at the top. That's not going to work in my chinois, but it's brilliant in my tannis. And so to hear my 4-year-old saying, Alice, can you pass me the chinois? Or Alice, can you pass me the tannis instead of the sieve? Warms my heart. You know, because why would I just call them all a sieve? Like, I can remember sitting at snack, and a little girl, Abby, said to me something about, would you like some fruit? And I said, I'd love some fruit, but I'm not concentrating on the fruit that you're giving me, because all I can smell is the scent and aroma of the flowers. Now, there was real flowers on the table, and I thought I was doing a good job by saying scent and aroma. And she looked at me and said, Alice, they're not flowers. Now, I am looking at the flowers, and they really are flowers. And she's saying they're not flowers, and I'm looking at them thinking, what are they then? She said, they are lilies and gerbils. And I said, they are lilies. The white ones are beautiful lilies, and the purple ones are gerberas. She said, gerbils. So I didn't correct her again. And she said, and last week we had daffodils, but they weren't real because they're not in season. Now, here's this 4-year-old not talking about flowers, but talking about lilies and gerberas and daffodils that are not in season. Now, the only reason she knows that is because the staff have been bothered to tell her. And that's amazing, guys. I'm also in the outdoor area in that little nursery, and they've got a lookout post in the garden, and you sit in a little box, and there's a tower, and then on the hooks, there's binoculars and telescopes and miragescopes and frames that you can look through. And we're watching the birds in the bird feeder. And Eric said to me, that's a big evil bird. Okay, he said it's a big black bird. It's a crow, and he's evil. He steals all the food. I was like, okay, I'm listening away. He said, and that one's that's a grey tit, but you get a blue tit as well, Alice. And that one, I can't remember what that is, but if you go into the little box under your bottom, you can find a book. Now, the staff had taken a photograph of all the birds that appear in that birdhouse, and they'd written the name of each of the different types of birds. And I said, is it this one? He said, it's a thrush. I said, it is a thrush. He said, I remembered when you looked in the page. And so they could tell me all of that. They weren't just saying the birds in the birdhouse. And so, oh my goodness, guys, that is your job. Isn't that an honour and a privilege that you are the ones that give the children, that critical and creative possibility? Anna Kraft talked about possibility thinking. Pete Moorhouse talks about irresistible learning. They will both say to you much more than I will ever say to you tonight. So look at Pete Moorhouse's website, is absolutely amazing. It's called Irresistible Learning, and his thinking on creativity is sublime. It's just blows your mind. And so, going back to my mud kitchen, guys, imagine my joy. Aren't we lucky to have joy in our life, in our jobs? My husband doesn't. He lectures at the university and he never has joy, but I've got joy every day of my life. And I walked into the garden and I could see the back of two little boys. And from the back, they were kind of doing this. And I could only see from behind them. And as I walked closer, I could hear them singing. All my children sing because I sing so much. And they were singing this. We're doing the mash. We're doing the mud mash. The mud mash. and they had a masher in each hand, and they were mashing the mud. And I was like, oh my goodness! And Craig said, do you want a masher? I said, yeah. And so I was mashing the mud as well. Now I have a masher here, guys, but look at this masher. Now, let me tell you this. I'm 58. On my 50th birthday, my husband gave me this for my birthday.
I love it.
Not a diamond. He gave me a masher. I was delighted at that.
I
And
love that. Never seen
well, look.
that.
So all you. So that's technology I can get into bed with. Look at that technology. Is that not just divine? Cool. And it's supposed to be, because if you put it in your drawer, you always get it.
Now, where did your husband find that? That is too cool.
I mean, I'm sure you can get them on Amazon. I've got about 3 ones that do that now. So
That's
isn't that amazing, guys? Just amazing. And look at this.
Cool.
This is another piece of tech for your mud. This is critical thinking happening right here, guys. So here is my potato ricer, yeah? But I have to make a choice. So I'm involved in higher order thinking. Am I going to use this one? Am I going to use this one? And choices and decisions. So I'm going to pop it in, make sure it's fitted, and then I'm going to, but this, so I have to swing it. Again, technology, and I'm going to squeeze my worm, my Play-Doh or my mud or whatever it is I'm doing out. Even putting thick gloopy paint in there and then splishing it out and doing that makes a Jackson Pollock picture on the ground. Or this one. Look at this one. So you do this, you put your Play-Doh in here, and then again it's got little attachments that you screw on the bottom. Once the Play-Doh's in. So even that is really good for handwriting, pincer, tripod, in-hand manipulation, and then you hold it here and you squeeze your Play-Doh out of it. Technology, guys, is so much more than a screen.
Love it, love it.
Is going to make me think critically and creatively about my outcomes myself. So give me the joy. Give me the joy. What is it you're giving your children, guys?
So this is around 12:15.
Sorry,
I'm sorry, this is around 12:15. So Alan, if you can post the evaluation link so folks can start doing that. And also if you have questions for Alice, you've heard her speak and you're wondering about something that caught your attention, now is a great time to pick her brain. So put your questions, we're going to keep an eye out and we'll try to capture your questions. And if you could post the link for evaluations and certificates. So guys, you have to complete the evaluation and I'm going to send it to Alice. So she's going to get your comments. And at the end of that is a certificate. So you can get your 90-minute certificate for today. All right. So
I've got one more golden thread, Prerna.
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm just kind of looking quickly. Patricia, in those boxes, you could also have musical instruments. I tend not to have the musical instruments in that box because I want the voice to be the musical instrument. But I use musical instruments, but just not in my songbox because it's about reading and the power of voice. But by all manner means, you put them in. It's up to you. What will your children respond to? I don't mind what you put in your boxes. That you know your children. I have no idea what your children need. You need to make those decisions yourself. But I tend not to put it in there. I have them somewhere else. I have them in a basket normally. So, if our children are curious and they connect and they communicate their critical and creative thinking, they walk away from the play thinking, I am me. I am listened to. I'm heard. I am regulated. I am brilliant. I am just amazing. So my last golden thread, guys, is child well-being. I want my children to wear 2 badges. One here that says, I'm in the CID, Curiosity, Investigation and Discovery. And this badge here says active in mind, body and heart. Activate my mind and cognition is taking place. Activate my body, and the science tells us the more physically engaged we are in the play, the stronger the memory will be that we take away from the play. And activate my heart, and I am emotionally connected. That's ridiculous sound, or I love that. story. Oh, I love nonsense and mischief. I'm so glad they were here to play with us today. You know, you need to emotionally connect. So we believe that child well-being will fall into place if all of our 5 golden threads happen every single day. Our children are just full of happiness, love, and joy, guys. You know, so child well-being, we don't have to really think about falsely, because our children are excited to come to play. They're excited to find a new resource. So here's my new resource. Oh my goodness me, look at this. It comes in a pot of 12 of these. And look, they're stretchy. And I can immediately start to make something with them. As I add them together, they become little, oh, there's a little snail. There he is. And I'll put this here, and it'll become something else.
What are
Whoa,
these
or
guys?
I tell
What
you
are
what,
these guys called? What are these wooden balls called?
these are called bendy beads. They're from Guys Craft, in fact, guys.
Bendy beads.
They
Okay.
can't plan. But look at that. I have a triangle. If I use 4, I can make a square, or I can create them into a crocodile or an alligator or whatever. They're absolutely brilliant and so good for manual dexterity, for everything. But let me finish about child well-being. Let me finish with empowering children, guys. So we are using, and on my Adventures with Alice on the Facebook page, you will find this video I'm talking about just now. So we had paint out, and all the children had mashers. We've got 30 mashers because they've all got different patterns in them. And the children are mashing and mashing and mashing. And we're all painting, we're talking about our paint, we're doing it massively on the floor. And behind me, I could hear this noise. Ooh, ee, ooh. And as I turned around, there was 2 little boys with R2-D2 and Yoda out of the Small World from Star Wars doing this. Ooh, ee, ooh. So they'd made the mashers into elevators in their spaceship for the Small World characters. Now, I couldn't have planned for that to happen because I've got 58 years of baggage, but the boys saw potential. Then Abby came up at the table, and you can just see her on the video, and she takes 2 of the mashers outside to the garden. So when I finished painting with the children, I went out to see what Abby was doing, and she was in the water trough in the garden, and she was mashing the water, like frantically mashing the water. And Michelle, one of the other adults, had put some washing up liquid in. And so she realised, it's cause and effect, she realised the more she mashed, the more bubbles were appearing, and she was just like, wow! And then she stopped, she said, splashing the windows. And she did it again, splashing the windows. Splashing the windows. So she's now desperately trying to splash everything on the windows. So what Abby had done is she'd engaged in painting. She'd saw the possibility of something else. She'd taken them. She'd made that choice and that decision. She'd wandered out to the garden, and she'd found the water, and she then started to think about the scientific concept of displacement. Now, it's Saturday night, guys. It's now dark outside. It's pitch black outside my windows. It is 6:30 in the evening. I'm going home to a glass of wine and a bath. And when I run the bath, I know when to stop it, because when my body gets in, it will displace the water. I do not want to flood downstairs. So there's Abby at 3.5 with my mashers, thinking about that scientific concept that I will think about when I'm running my bath tonight. What you do is so goddamn important. It is so important. We lay the fundamental foundations for the rest of our children's lives. And that's why we take what we do really seriously. So we have this online program. I'm just going to show you it briefly, guys. So we have 18 adventures now. My first one is Curiosity. So we have one for each golden thread. You have about an hour and a half of me rabbiting on about Curiosity. And then in the magazines, you've got these little panels, these tweed panels, that ask you as a practitioner, as a teacher, as a leader of play and learning to think about something, some aspect of what you do. So there's our STEM one, there's our leading pedagogy one, there's our creative thinking one. And then what we give you is hundreds of cards with loads of ideas on them as well when you come and join our program. So I'm going to take, the reason I'm showing you it, because I know you're not on my program, is I want you to think about this. One of my staff members, Ruben, who's from Brazil, in fact, in the Curiosity magazine, we ask you to think about the brain and how we impact on the brain. And I went into the playroom, and he had blown up a picture he'd found on the internet of the non-thriving brain at 2 and the thriving brain at 2. So you've all seen that slide that you can get on the internet. So it's this tiny shriveled up little brain and a big juicy brain. And he had blown them up, and he had them out in the 3 to 5-year-olds' room. And I was thinking, what is he doing telling them about the unthriving brain at 2? But this is what Ruben did. He said, girls and boys, can you see this picture? It's a brain. This is a little brain and this is a big brain. You've got a brain and I've got a brain. Do you want a little brain or a big brain? And all the children are shouting, big brain, big brain. He said, okay. If you want a big brain today at this table, what are you going to do at this table? So they explained they were going to make Play-Doh, they were going to measure it, they were going to stir it, they were going to pour it, they were going to mash it, they were going to do it. He says, okay. And you're going to take turns and da, da, da. In this one, they were going to hear and listen to stories. And then over there, they were going to build a tower or a bridge or an arch with blocks. And so he was planning, basically. He was encouraging the children to realise what was in their space and think about it. He says, so girls and boys, did you want a little brain or a big brain? And they said, brain, big. He said, okay. So if you, when you make the Play-Doh, take turns, you help each other, you communicate nicely and say you need more or less, or da, 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 and then you go over there and then you listen to the story and then you build the biggest tower and you help each other do that, your brains will go bigger. Your brains will go bigger and bigger and bigger. He said, so girls and boys, are you ready? And they said yes. And he said, go for it! And it was just like, whoa! It was just, from a tiny little thing that we put in our magazine. He'd thought about the brain more than he had done previously in the month before. And he thought, how can I encourage the children to think about their brain and build their own brains? And he used it as a planning tool. And it was just fab. Absolutely brilliant, guys. So I'm going to finish there, and I'm going to see if we'll get any questions, but I'm going to finish with 2 little quotes. One is an old Chinese proverb, and the old Chinese proverb goes something like this: every child is like a piece of paper. Everyone who touches the child leaves a mark. And I'm going to add here, so think about the mark you're leaving. What legacy are you leaving your children? And then the last one that I'm going to speak is Mother Teresa once said, there is more need in the world for love than there is for food and water. So let there be love. So love what you do, love your children, love your pedagogy, guys. And I hope that's been helpful.
Wow, wow, wow.
Sorry, Prerna.
Love the quotes, love the quotes. Every child is a piece of paper. Everyone who touches it leaves a mark. It leaves a mark. I'm writing it down.
Has there been any questions? I'm not.
Any questions? Any wonderings? You were going to talk about your program. If anybody's interested in joining it, do they just? I put your website link there so they can buy stuff there.
Yeah. So if you go to the website, it's www.alicesharp.co.uk. So
I had it in the chats. But was there something that they could just buy stuff, or can they be part of your members? Because you had talked about members, you'd referenced members a few times.
No, yeah. So our members are those that are already on our program. So there isn't a membership area. It's if you want to join the program, you don't have to do the whole thing. You can just decide I'm going to do curiosity, and you can just do that adventure. We say it takes around 2 months to do each adventure. But if you wanted to do all 6 golden threads, you would then do volume 1. So volume 1 is one's on curiosity, one's connection, one's creativity, one's communication, one's critical thinking, and one's child well-being. Volume 2 is about the environment. So our films, so in each of the little adventures in the program, modules, if you like, each module, you have about an hour and a half of me talking about just that subject. And then, but it's in 7-minute, 8-minute videos. So there's about 8 or 9 videos in each adventure. Then you have the magazine that you download, and you can download 100 copies of it if you want to. So every member of your staff can have their own copy on their phone. And then the poster cards, there's 9 poster cards with about 50 ideas about curiosity or STEM or whatever it is you're reading. And then in the second volume about the environments, I have filmed in a STEM area. The STEM one is about an hour and a half of me talking about STEM, again with the magazine and the cards. Then we do Let's Get Ready to Read. becoming a reader, outdoors, sand and water, malleable play, imagination. There are 8 different types of imagination, not just one. There are 8 different types of
Wow.
imagination. We look at
Wow,
all of
wow,
them.
wow.
So the second one's about volume 3 is about pedagogy. And it's more for the directors and managers. And again, it's full of possibilities. But the videos, the films in this lot in volume 3, so it's child-centered pedagogy, the pedagogy of discovery, the pedagogy of communication, and another 3, I can't remember them off the top of my head. But the cards that go with this are for discussing at a staff meeting, and the films are myself, a professor of creative pedagogy, and an outdoor specialist, and a social entrepreneur who runs 40 nurseries she's done TED Talks and all that kind of thing. And basically the films in volume 3 are the 4 of us arguing for an hour and a half about pedagogy. It was a joy to film it. So you can either do one of each of the modules, or you can do 6 modules, or you can do them all. And it depends on what you want to do. But if you wanted to have a look at it, you can have a look at it to see it's going to work for you. I think, as I said, there's lots of Canadians doing it. We've got loads of people from Italy, Australia, so it's not all just UK. And one of the things that has come from that, guys, this is a little bag here, and this has become one of my tools, and we've just had some made actually for the schools, because at the end of a day, I used to sit with these words, and so I would ask myself, have we developed new ideas today? Have my children discovered something today? Have I incited my children to adapt their thinking today? Have I encouraged hypothesizing today at the sand and water or the mud kitchen? Have we had good discussions? Have the children self-selected and examined the resources? So we've got all of these now that we are, as our adventurers, we've got these tools now to just reflect as practitioners, as teachers, on how enchanting our stories have been, or how engaging the play at the paint easel was today, or whatever the word happens to be that we're looking at.
This has been incredible. I would highly encourage everybody who's on this call, check Alice's thing out, follow her on social media. You'll get tons of ideas. But also, if you're thinking about, becoming a program which is truly play-based, which is really how children learn, look at her resources. It may be something that you can supplement with what you have and help your teachers get sparked ideas. So we're almost out of time. One word to describe how you're feeling right now. Show some love to Alice. Put it in the chat. Of course, she's going to get you evaluations where you've written more details. But how are you feeling right now after this session? What were other than tired and hungry, right? So how are you feeling? Empowered, energized. This is good. Oh, great.
Oh, thank you, girls. That's lovely. Astounded. Is that a good astounded? Fired up, inspired, encouraged. Oh, they're brilliant words. Thank you, guys.
This is awesome. You were amazing. You are amazing.
Thank you.
It was such an honor to have you, Alice. Please come back if you're ever willing to come back to us. We love you. It was amazing. See you in person. I know, Nora.
Laura wants to see us in person. Guys, here's the thing. We do 4-day residentials as well. We've got 3 of them coming up. And we've got a lovely girl from Florida joining us. We've had Canadians before. We've got Italians and Greek people. So there's 3 coming up. So if you look on the website, you'll find out about all of the things we do. And I'm coming back to Canada. Am I coming to America again? No, I don't think I'm booked for America, but one day I might be in America and we'll meet in person. That'd be lovely.
100%. I can't wait to see you in person. I can't wait to attend your session. And I think I'm going to attend your session in September when I'm hoping to speak in UK and you're speaking in the UK. I'm hoping that's going to happen.
Well, hopefully we will, yeah.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I'm going to put that in the universe.
It would be lovely to see you all in Scotland, guys. Yeah, and I love it. Who's calling me? Stephanie, you're calling me Mrs. Sharp. That sounds like my mother-in-law. So please, if you want to ask me anything, if you email me, I always get back to you. It might take a week or so because I might not be in the country, but if you email me alice@alicesharp.co.uk, I promise I'll get back to you. And no question is mad. I am happy to answer the maddest questions you like. Yeah, more than happy.
Yes.
Well,
What a
thank
big
you for inviting me today. That it was lovely to come to Texas tonight from Scotland.
Yes, you were, and we had guests from everywhere, and we're so grateful that we had this time together. And mark your calendars. March 9th is Sandra Beale coming, and she's going to be doing 5 science experiments with the young ones. And she does amazing things for BBC, and she does amazing things. You will love her as well. You really truly are pure gift,
Thank
absolutely
you.
pure gift. So much fun, so much joy, so much discovery.
Enjoy the rest of your day, people. I'm just now going to go, and hopefully my husband will have made my dinner for me.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That'd be a good husband. That would be a great husband. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining. We are wrapping this up. I'm going to hang
Thank
on a
you.
bit if anybody wants to stay a minute longer, but thank you so much. All right.
Thank you. I'll be in touch.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.